All right, welcome back, gang, to the final installment of Crisis on Infinite Darkwings. I say final because issue 7 didn't take us very long to discuss, maybe around 25 minutes at most, and that didn't feel like enough for a single episode. But issue 8, we talked about a lot, followed by our final thoughts and opinions. That's fine though, you just get a slightly longer episode this time around. So, with that being said, let's jump back in and discuss issues 7 and 8 of the Darkwing Duck comics by Boom Studios. So, we're on to issue number 7, which was published in December 2010.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Okay.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
One of the covers of this issue was a battle between Morgana and Magica, which obviously fans, I think, really wanted to see, like, pretty much forever. You know, like, two magic users from the two different shows having a showdown. So.
Well, don't get your hopes up, folks. Comic book covers lie.
They certainly do. So we cut back to the Infinite Darkwings. They're laying siege on the city. Morgana magically senses that there's two different parties at work. We get a shot of the crime bots and I guess launchpads flying around in the thunderquack, commanding them as they fight all the Infinite Darkwings in the sky.
Okay.
So Darkwing and Morgana are still at the Mallard household, and Darkwing's trying to understand what's going on. He's like, cloning vats, impressive plastic surgery, long-lost cousins who are upset they didn't get Christmas cards. And Morgana says, when that one imposter rolled onto the bridge, I felt a distinct aura. It was cold and creepy. She's talking about Dark Warrior. But she says, it's hard to tell. There's a powerful force under the water that was messing with my astral projection or astral detection, which is usually pretty keen, Dark.
Is it? Also, cold and creepy. Is Morgana in love?
Oh, that's true. By Morgana's standards, that would be, like, attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just kind of talking about it, and you'll notice they keep bringing up this water thing over and over and over again. It's like they want to remind us, the water thing is coming. It's related somehow, but it's not related to Negaduck and Magica.
It's very subtle. You
Yes.
never would have, unless you had said something, I would have completely forgotten about all this water thing. It was very subtle with the liquidator as well,
Yes. So they're talking about this, and Quiverwing Duck is outside the Mallard household spying on them, and he's still hypnotized. I should add that the way we know they're hypnotized is...
They have swirly eyes?
Yes, they have swirly eyes, like basically everyone normally does when they want to indicate that someone's hypnotized.
Is he standing across the street behind a garbage can with binoculars?
No, but he's standing behind a tree.
Oh, okay.
And then he scrambles up to the roof, and he stands on the chimney, and I don't know why he didn't go down the chimney. Instead, he jumps into a hole in the backyard that has a sign that says Goslin and Honker's Path to China.
Okay.
And then he reappears on it through the spinning chairs. So I don't know if that means that the hole led to Darkwing Tower, and then I guess from there he traveled back, or maybe like if the chairs like lead underground, maybe he found like the underground chair path, and I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what you should tell me either. Sure.
So Quiverwing appears in the house, and he shoots Darkwing and pins him to the wall. And Morgana attacks Quiverwing and says, "Not in our house, twerp." And then Darkwing in small letters says, "Our house?" Yeah, I don't know.
Can you close your eyes for me for just a moment?
Sure.
Try to imagine Morgana saying twerp.
Yeah, no.
I can't. Anyway, our house, yes.
This is, I have to add, like, around this point in time was when I was like, the writing really doesn't sound like the characters, like the dialogue, and
Launchpad has used some pretty impressive words.
Yeah, and Morgana is just, I don't know. it doesn't quite fit, and this will be addressed later on in the rewrites that we'll get to someday in a long time, because this is taking a long time to cover. But she zaps Quiverwing, but it appears that Magica has put a spell on all the Darkwings that repels magic. Because you see, like, Magica's head, and she says, to prevent defeat so tragic, I repel all other magic. It zaps back at Morgana and knocks her out.
Well, I know what needs to happen.
A tie?
Darkwing needs to find a chair, stand on it, and cry on Quiverwing's mouth.
If only. But no. So they have a bit of a fight, a tussle, and Quiverwing gets thrown back, and he crashes into the chimney, and a bunch of, like, photos of Goslin and Goslin, Launchpad, and Drake family photos fall on him. And then suddenly he's thrown into a flashback. And this flashback in particular is used by fans who don't like the comic, and they like to post these particular shots when they're criticizing it. So it says, remember, Darkwing Duck and Quiverwing Quack fighting side by side for years. And you see Quiverwing Quack and Darkwing in a trench coat with a regular sized tie. And I feel like this is a reference to probably a particular hero or superhero or comic series, because, like, he's wearing like a duster type style trench coat with, like, a little smaller fedora. You'd probably know if you saw it. I think it's
well, it could be the Spirit, it could be Dick Tracy.
I think it's the Spirit, potentially. I know it's a noir kind of theme. And then
the Shadow. I mean,
yeah, and then
Darkwing already looks like the Shadow, so
it cuts to another panel where Goslin's dead body is on the ground.
Oh my god, quick, cry into her mouth.
So she's lying there, and it's like the kind of Disney thing where there's a shadow over her face, so you can't see her entire face. She's clearly dead. And he says, I will never forget you, Goslin, and the sacrifice you made. And he's down on his knees next to her corpse. And, like, I think back to the Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck, where she did die on screen, but it was very drawn out, and then she, like, splurted cuckoo cola.
I imagine this one has a lot less sloshing going on.
Yes, it's very actually dramatic.
So we got some child murder in this issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so he says, in your honor, I shall forever be Quiverwing Duck. So he basically took on the mantle of her costume to honor her after she died, and that's why he's Quiverwing Duck.
I mean, he could have just cried into her mouth and she would be fine, but if he wants to steal her clothes, by all means.
By all means. So Quiverwing actually snaps out of it, and he's no longer hypnotized, and then he jumps out the window and escapes. And Morgana is like, Magica Dispel is behind this.
Wow.
Because I guess...
a hell of a... Yeah.
I guess because when she got zapped by the repelling magic, it let her know. And then, for some reason, also Morgana says he's working for Negaduck, in reference to Quiverwing Duck. So, I don't know, I guess she just magically...
That was a hell of a hint she got there.
Yeah, she just suddenly knows that stuff.
Okay.
And then Darkwing's like, Magica who? And Morgana's like, Launchpad never told you about Magica? And I just find it interesting that Launchpad would tell Morgana this, but not Darkwing for some reason, but okay.
Yeah, you know all those times that Launchpad and Morgana hung out.
And he says maybe he did, but his mouth was probably full of chili fries or pretzels at the time. And I mean, that's actually fair assessment.
I mean, if that could be all of us.
And now we get our umpteenth reminder of...
About the water?
Yes, about the water. So Gosmo Duck and Honker wearing like a little colander on his head and like pots and pans for armor, tin cans and stuff. They're capturing the Infinite Darkwings, and they've captured a Frankenstein, and they have like a list. They've captured
a Dracula, a
So
mummy.
she's the only one actually doing any work around this
Yes.
joint. Okay.
They've captured a werewolf and a gill duck. And then it says the gill duck Darkwing is still at large. And then the gill duck Darkwing pops out of the sewer and he says, "You there, young lady, I have come to turn myself in. I throw myself on the mercy of this reality's justice system." And she's like, "Thanks, I guess." And he says, "Indubitably, miss. I attempted to abscond via your aqueduct system, but there is a horror that resides in your water supply, one more terrible than any other activities happening upon the surface."
It's a very well-spoken Gilduck.
Yeah, and Gosling says, "We've noticed." To be fair, yes, we have.
Not even impressed. Well, I wonder if Neptunia would have liked this version of Darkwing better.
She probably would have. So, Morg and Darkwing are on the rat catcher, and Morgana, I guess, is tracing their aura.
Oh, is she driving? I would love it if she was driving.
She's in the sidecar. She's in the little sidecar. And she says that she's following their aura and explaining that they're hypnotized by Magica's magic. He's like, "Oh," because I guess he didn't know this. She tells him to take a turn at some place, and then they get stopped by a bunch of crime bots because the crime bots have, Launchpad is having them attack Infinite Darkwings. And there is a crime bot wearing a cowboy hat, and it has chains for arms.
There it is! The budget!
There you go.
There you go. If only he was... Is he wearing a bolo tie?
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry. You have a lot of...
Okay.
You're very invested in the ties in this comic, and I think you're going to be disappointed every single time.
I'm a little tied up in it.
Wah, wah. So the crime bots, of course, because they're attacking Darkwings, they think he's a threat, and they identify him as Vanilla Darkwing. And Darkwing is very insulted by that.
Well, get over it.
I mean, to be fair,
Buddy.
I guess, yeah, like calling him Vanilla is a bit of an insult. So Goslin shows up and she's like, "Negaduck's behind this, Keen Gear." And
How does she know that?
I guess because she overheard them talking or something. And Darkwing says, "That is the wrong reaction to the word Negaduck. Hunker goes back to the Muddlefoots where it's slightly less dangerous." Which, to be
I
fair...
imagine that, like, every time somebody says Negaduck, Quacker Jack's eye twitches.
It probably does. So we're getting to, I guess, the climax of this story, maybe. So they get into an elevator. I don't know why the elevator leads them to the subway, but that's where they're going. And then a werewolf Darkwing jumps on the elevator and causes them to come flying down, and they crash right into the hideout where Magica and Negaduck are, and they're waiting for them. Negaduck is standing there with his chainsaw out, and Magica has, I guess, her magic hands at the ready. And Darkwing does his, "I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the TV crossover that doesn't live up to the hype," which I think is ironic because...
Yeah.
Anyways. And he says, "I am Darkwing," and then they get slapped in the face by Magica's dust. And Magica walks up and she says, "What is this? I expect Darkwing Duck and oaf who can't lend plane, not Darkwing Duck, girl in tin can suit, and cheap ripoff of me. How am I supposed to get #1 dime without Scrooge's lackey?" "I don't know, Magica. You have magic. Why don't you just go get it yourself?"
Why don't you just go find Launchpad if that's your man that you're after? Because I feel like he's not doing a hell of a lot these days. He's just been eating sandwiches every 5 seconds, which is, again, like the life.
And yeah, Magica continues. She says, "I am not interested in seeing another Darkwing Duck. I have seen enough." And then Morgana's like, "Excuse me, bitch? Cheap ripoff?" She doesn't actually say bitch, but I have to clarify that in case you were wondering, because I feel like with this comic, you never know. They've dropped a crap here. Maybe they'll drop a B word.
Oh, be careful where you're stepping if they're dropping crap.
So Morgana says, "Sister, I've forgotten more about magic than you'll ever know." And sister, and then she zaps Magica. The werewolf attacks Goslin. So Negaduck taps Darkwing on the shoulder and is like, "Aw, feeling a little left out? Then let's play." And then like a battle sequence begins.
Did anything happen to Magica when Morgana zapped her?
No, in fact, and I thought this was really stupid. They start to battle, but unlike the comic cover, which shows this climatic battle where they're both, like blue magic and red magic are colliding with each other, and it looks really exciting. Magica whips out this thing called the Source Absorber and says that it sucks away all magic inside you and gives it to her. So she literally just zaps Morgana immediately and takes all of Morgana's magic, and Morgana collapses on the ground, and Magica is wearing this ridiculous, it's like a samurai suit with skulls all over it, and she's got a little crown on her head because I guess with Morgana's magic she's powerful, and how else do you demonstrate power by putting on a really powerful samurai suit?
Okay. I'm alright, I'm gonna head out. And
we're almost done at least.
I mean, but it would have been great if that first zap, especially after she's like, "Excuse me, I'm a cheap ripoff," and then she zaps Magica, and then Magica has Morgana's hair.
That would have been so funny.
But yeah, I guess samurai Magica works too.
I'm sorry to tell you that I feel like this entire comic is just a lot of missed opportunities in terms of comedic moments. Some of them actually get fixed and addressed later on in the rewrite, but not to the extent that you are suggesting.
So I'm assuming that I know where this is going, and that this Magica in the samurai thing is going to lead into the next issue, which is the tie-in with Samurai Pizza Cat.
How did you know?
Nailed it! It was all the tiny ties that gave it away.
Ah, you're brilliant. So we get a whole battle scene between Negaduck and Darkwing. Most of it, there isn't any dialogue. It's just classic cartoon stuff. Negaduck has a giant spiked mace and then an axe, and then there's a safe that falls on Darkwing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, but imagine all the awesome noises Jim Cummings would be making if this was an animated fight.
Shui oh hoya ho blah 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 ha, stuff like
Perfect.
that.
Perfect.
And then Negaduck says, "This wasn't just about exterminating you, Deadwing Drek. This was about exterminating all of them. Discovering your secret identity was the key to finding and brainwashing so many of these other Darkwings. And believe me, once I'm done with you, it'll be their turn."
What is this plan? Oh, he got all these other Darkwings just so he could drop them here and then kill the one Darkwing that was here, and then he's gonna kill all these other Darkwings that he carried across the dimensions.
Well, he continues, "I am not gunning for St. Canard, the world, or the universe. I'm going to get rid of the entire multiverse of Darkwing Duck. Pikers..."
Dropped them on the trash planet.
This would have been over much sooner, yes. "Pikers like Megavolt, Quackerjack, Bulba, they don't have the imagination that I do." And then they're matching each other's moves, kind of mirroring each other, and then Darkwing takes Negaduck by surprise by sliding in between his legs, coming up behind.
Whoa. Good night, everybody.
He comes up from behind and pulls his hat over him. Then it's just more fight scenes, back and forth for a little while. And then we get oh my god. I've never really looked at this panel in detail, and now that I have, it's really horrifying. I'm actually just going to send it to you because I want to hear your reaction. Keep in mind, readers, that at this point, Kitty hasn't actually seen any visuals of this comic. She's just heard me describe it to her.
What the fuck? I'm sorry.
So So what Kitty is looking at is Magica she's like zapping Morgana and continuing to absorb her power, but Morgana's body is like really contorted. And her eyes are pointing in like almost two different directions, and it looks like she's, it looks like what's that curse in Harry Potter, like the Cruciatus curse?
There was a book, the Lady Coddington's like pressed fairy book. If you've ever seen any of that, it was just like an art book where it was supposed to be like fairies smushed between two pages, and they were all in super crazy positions because they were dead and smushed, and that's what Morgana looks like right now. It's a little melty, and you know what, 0 out of 10 do not like.
Yeah, she looks.
Magica looks stupid.
Yeah, she's wearing that weird samurai suit, and I've never really looked at this panel before in detail, and now that I have, it is a little horrifying. Morgana's
you just ignored it to protect yourself, and now you're doing untold psychic damage to yourself and to me. So thank you to this.
And then Magica is, going on about, doing villain monologuing, like ha ha ha, blah blah blah. So while this is happening, Morgana's like, but wait. In this state, I can feel it. I can feel what's been affecting the water.
What?
And then we get a reveal, and can you guess what it is?
It's the secondary plot. It is, let's see, Herb Muddlefoot riding 2 seahorses, eating ham on a bone.
I really wish it had been. But no, it is Paddywhack.
In the water? Oh, because he was a fish?
Yeah, remember I told you in the Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain episode, he makes a return because the fish ate the toy box or the Jack-in-the-Box, and he's been lurking in the water waiting for his return.
And okay. All right.
So I guess
he's not all washed up.
The idea is that I think all the chaos from the infinite Darkwing stuff must have caused enough like negativity and misery to like bring him back. Although this was kind of starting before that. Like we saw at the very beginning in the first issue, like this was already happening. So, and then it says in the this is Morgana talking, like narrating. She says, he gorges himself on the suffering of those around him, which kind of, I feel like in the show, he like eats he feeds on pranks and like jokes and stuff. And it's like the misery of people like falling for those pranks is what he feeds on. So it's not so much suffering as just like being the butt of the joke.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he couldn't control water.
That's never explained. But we do see him crawling towards the subway dramatically in between shots of like Darkwing and Negaduck fighting and Morgana. It just completely...
Paddywhack?
Yeah.
Like not like fish Paddywhack?
Yeah, like full body Paddywhack is walking, he's approaching them, and we just get, now that I'm noticing this, we just get several shots of Morgana still being like tortured, and it's just like her being like shocked, and it just zooms in on her face in each panel as she continues. Oh. And that's the end of this issue, and it says, Paddywhack is coming to supper. And he's standing in the water, and Sebastian from The Little Mermaid is, like, cowering at his feet.
Okay.
Oh, Dory from Finding Nemo is in there, too. And who's that fish from Pinocchio? I think that's the fish from Pinocchio.
Oh, Cleo?
Yeah, it's like a little yellow fish.
With a stunning eyeshadow?
Yes. They're all gasping in horror as Paddywhack is like, oh, okay, we're almost at the end, my friend.
Okay.
The end of this arc, that is. The end of this arc. There's so much more in the future.
Oh my god. Okay.
So we're on to issue 8, the final issue of Crisis on Infinite Darkwings. And now we have 2 plots to contend with. We're dealing with Negaduck and Magica and their infinite Darkwings. And we're also dealing with Paddywhack at the same time.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
Because this seems necessary.
This issue features like a cover of like basically all the characters we've seen so far. Not all the Infinite Darkwings, but like most of everybody in a black void. Like they're getting sucked into something, and you can see Paddywhack's big glowing red eyes. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. Maybe they're all going to get sucked into the Jack in the Box or something. That doesn't happen. The covers lie. Also, the second like variant cover, I think, is a Darkwing Duck, or not a Darkwing Duck, sorry, a Batman parody, but it's Negaduck sending robots after a random woman to kill her. I'm going to show this to you because I'm sure you're more comic savvy than I am in general, and I feel like you might actually know what I'm talking about. It's actually a pretty cool cover, but I'm pretty sure that Negaduck's pose in that is like a stock pose that was heavily referenced. He's raising his arms at the bottom there. I'm pretty sure that's like directly taken from like a Darkwing Duck stock image or screenshot. But I like that he's randomly just up in the sky, and there's no explanation for this cover. It's just, I guess, like a parody cover.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's in reference to a Batman cover. Previously in Darkwing Duck.
It kind of looks like the Finnish foreign duck comic style.
Yeah, it does. It has kind of that feel to it. Actually, let me see who the artist was credited as for that cover. Cover B was by Diego Jordan. So I don't know if that's somebody who works in other areas, like other Disney comics or not, but it's a pretty neat cover. I don't think I own that one, but anywho, previously in Darkwing Duck. The War of the Darkwings has begun as the dangerous duo of Negaduck and Magica Dispel have unleashed their entire army of multiple mind-controlled mallards. After doing battle with an alarmingly astute alternate version of himself, dressed like Quivering Quack, our Darkwing is able to learn the source of all the carnage. Darkwing races to stop it with Morgana and Gosmo Duck along for the ride, only to be met by an ambush. At the mercy of Negaduck and Magica, Morgana is able to divine a greater evil that's been awakened in the midst of all the chaos. The uber evil of Paddywhack.
So you know how like superhero movies, especially like early ones, they would just keep piling on the supervillains and all of the sequels, and none of them were particularly very successful in carrying out what they were going for, and that's what this feels like right now.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
So we get a shot of some alternate Darkwings being captured by Quiverwing Duck. We see a Doctor Who Darkwing, and he's got like the TARDIS, but it's got like the Thunderquack bill attached to it.
Of course it does.
And then we've got Optimus Prime Darkwing Duck. We've got Simba, like adult Simba Darkwing Duck. But what's even funnier is that there's a Morgana Timon and Pumbaa Launchpad in the bushes watching. And I feel like that has really weird implications, because if Morgana and Darkwing are a couple, then would that mean that like adult Simba and Timon are a couple? I don't know.
That's really strange.
I guess it was just meant to be a funny visual gag, but of course I thought too hard on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been, if it was Goslin, it would be different. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like if Goslin was Simba and...
Or even if Goslin was Timon.
Oh, that's true. You're the parent now, Goslin.
Isn't she kind of already, though?
Yes. And then we get, I think it's the Jonas Brothers. I'm not super, like, up to date, but, like, this was in 2010, or I guess by this point, 2011. And I think the Jonas Brothers were kind of fairly big at the time. And it's, because, like, it's three Darkwings with black emo hair. And they have, like, electric guitars. So I think it is the Jonas Brothers. And there's three of them. There's three Jonas Brothers, right?
Sure. The Crisis of Infinite Jonas.
I don't know. I only remember like the Hanson brothers and the Moppets from like the 90s. That's like my knowledge of boy bands kind of stopped at that point.
Well, there you go.
This kind of makes me think that if this comic was done now in modern day, like 2021, it would be like K-pop. So it would be like BTS, Darkwing Duck, K-pop idols.
So now are all of these Darkwings are in their original universes, or they're in the Saint Canard?
They're in the Saint Canard wreaking havoc and Quiver.
So the Jonas Brothers Darkwing Duck, there's 3 of him, so they had to capture 3 of him from that dimension?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess maybe in that dimension, maybe in that dimension he ended up being triplets. I have no idea.
Okay.
You're just like so over. You're like, okay.
It's fine. It's happening. Let's keep it going.
We're almost done. We're almost at the end of this one. So Quiverwing Duck is no longer hypnotized, and he's capturing them all. And then Dark Warrior Duck rolls up in his tank, and he says, "This is what cleaning up Saint Canard is." And then he says, "Best thing is, the witch didn't even need to hypnotize me." They don't really expand on that. They don't really say why he was.
It's just making it known. And I ain't even hypnotized.
And then we get like a quick Quiverwing Duck versus Dark Warrior. And I feel like they're actually 2 interesting characters to pit against each other, because they're both, as far as we know, the only versions that lost goslins. And they both coped in different ways. Like Dark Warrior, when he lost Goslin, he basically like became super obsessive with like, you know, protecting everybody and basically bubble wrapping Saint Canard. Whereas Quiverwing Duck coped by taking on the mantle to honor her. And I thought that was kind of interesting, that it's like 2 reflections of like 2 possibilities.
Yeah, could have just like scrapped the whole paddywhack plot and just focused on this a little bit instead.
Yeah, and I just noticed that Dark Warrior Duck, when he rolls up, he has Tuscarnini and Moriarty in his arms. I didn't even notice that before, but yeah, I guess he's just...
them.
And then Quiverwing Duck, I guess... This part doesn't make sense either, and you can tell that, like, I guess... I don't think Ian Brill ever watched the episode with Dark Warrior Duck, because Quiverwing plugs up the tank so that it explodes, and Dark Warrior says, "Well played, do-gooder." But Dark Warrior Duck was like a police state person to the max. He didn't have a problem with do-gooders. He had a problem with villains. So,
like, he could have been like, "You just destroyed, you know, police property," or whatever he would have considered himself.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. This is okay. Remember what I told you, that I had stars in my eyes for most of the comics, and then it reached a point where like it's still good, like you said in the last episode, and then finally
this is
like
where the pig hits the water.
This is where the pig hits the water, and it wore off for me. So by this point, I kind of knew where this was going, because I had heard inside gossip and news about where the storyline was heading. But basically, this became a thing, and it was Quiverwing Duck is ready to, like, you know, arrest and take in Dark Warrior, and Dark Warrior says, "Don't bother. Go save Darkwing Prime. We both saw it inside the time stream when arriving here. Help him have one of his last few victories before he loses her." And basically, this was a whole thing, because they were trying to, Ian Brill, I guess, was trying to be like super mysterious and edgy with this idea. It kind of hints that like regular Darkwing Duck is going to lose his Goslin, is kind of the implication. And like fans were speculating like crazy, and it caused mass panic, because like this isn't addressed for a while in the comics, like it comes up later. But it was very, like, in my opinion, it was really unnecessary and just kind of dumb.
And he just kind of, like, misplaces her at the mall for, like, 15 minutes and then finds her again.
That would actually, that would be really funny.
It's just Quiverwing Duck is just like, get a cell phone, give it to her, and then you'll be fine.
And, okay, so we're back to the fight scene again. And once more, I feel like Morgana, for the last 2 issues, has just been drawn in these, like, positions where she's just being tortured because...
She's going through every Picasso painting ever.
Like, Magica is still, like, absorbing her power, and it just continuously is just her standing there looking like she's drunk. Her eyes are pointing in 2 different directions while Magica attacks, and...
What's Gosalyn doing? What is she fighting?
She's fighting Werewolf Darkwing.
Oh.
And, yeah, and Negaduck and Darkwing are still fighting. And then we see Quiverwing Duck has shown up, and he's, like, watching them. Okay, well... So, Magica is continuously absorbing Morgana's magic, which I feel by this point has been happening for a while, like, timeline-wise. And she says, when I am through with you, I won't need Negadimwit. I will use new power to make Scrooge's dime come to me. And it's like...
Then why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Yes. Because it's true. Like, she could have just taken this absorber, and when you consider that Morgana was in a fugue state at the beginning of this, she probably could have tracked down Morgana while Morgana was still trapped and, like, not able to defend herself, and could have stolen all her magic, and then
Magica could have hopped on her broom, flown to Transylvania, and gotten any magic user she wants. She could have been, like, Uber Magica, and then gone for, dime time, and it would have been, but okay, whatever, we're here, it's happening. Quiverwing is just enjoying the show.
He is watching this, and then Magica kisses the source absorber, and she says, and I'm quoting this verbatim, and they say you can't find anything good at Hot Topic anymore. So apparently she bought this thing from Hot Topic, which I feel like it's a faux pas to put actual like stores and stuff into the Darkwing universe that aren't a parody name. Because I feel like the whole fun of the Duckverse is you take a like existing company or whatever, and you give it a funnier name that's like connected to the Duckverse, like Starducks.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
I
don't know.
Topic.
So apparently Magica shops at Hot Topic. That would explain
my God. She probably has like so many chain wallets. 5 My Chemical Romance shirts.
All
My
the
Hero Academia notebook.
All the necessary things. And then Quiverwing shoots her thing out of her hand, her source absorber, with a boomerang attached to an arrow, and he takes it from her. And apparently that's literally all it takes to defeat her, because she says, but now I lose my hold on all the Darkwings. It is cliche, but no! And she's, like, exploding from all of her...
Okay.
Like, she's, like, when, like, someone loses their power and, like, you have, like, lasers exploding out of their eyes and stuff, dramatically.
Oh,
and then you see a shot of Paddywhack climbing into a sewer.
Okay.
And then all the Darkwings, all the infinite Darkwings, because as Magica just expositioned, because we, the readers, are stupid and need this explained to us. I guess because he took the source absorber, she no longer can hypnotize them.
Oh my God, what if Quiverwing was now in control of all of them?
Make them do a flash dance mob thing.
You would just have them all reenact his daughter's death.
Well, we get them all. We get a scene of them all snapping out. So you've got, like, there's a Darth Vader, Darkwing Duck, holding, like, a lightsaber, and he says, what is the meaning of this? And then we see Darkwing Doubloon and all the other Darkwings waking up. There's a Harry Potter Darkwing Duck. There's a Chip and Dale, like, Darkwing is Chip Which one? Wait, which one's Dale? Dale's the one with the red nose, right?
Yeah, Chip is the Indiana Jones looking one.
Okay, Darkwing is Chip, and Launchpad is Dale. And then there is an Indiana Jones Darkwing Duck actually standing next to them, which is...
There you go. Is there a Miami Vice one standing right next to Dale?
I don't know. There are some
You're
other...
wearing a Hawaiian shirt, just
No.
like Dale.
That would be funny. But there are some other Darkwings, but I don't recognize all of them. And there's just this random duck woman who says, "Is it me, or did this town just get a lot more handsomer?"
Wow!
And she's saying this like as she's standing among the rubble of the city that they just destroyed. So I don't know, like, I guess them not being hypnotized makes them more attractive.
Well, if I just didn't wake up in Hottie Town, hello, happy birthday to me.
And this is the part where I was like, nope, because, and of course this is Negaduck related character.
This is the part where you were like,
This is where, okay, it's Negaduck characterization. What can I say?
Okay.
So there's like a giant computer screen where we see Morgana and Magica are both like kind of like dazed in the background, and Negaduck is like mid-punch when he sees that all the Darkwings are offline, and he loses his mind and he jumps on Darkwing and starts beating the shit out of him, and he says, "You have no idea the sacrifices I made, all to make this trans-dimensional system a reality, what I've lost, what I will never see again."
Like Poe?
I think Ian Brill was aiming for either, because you know how they said like he will lose her. I think they were implying that Negaduck had already lost, like probably his Nega Goslin. Like I think that.
Well, yeah, she wandered off in the mall. And
He just didn't. He was like, "You can keep her." Like
he paged her twice over the intercom and then left.
What's that meme where it's like someone gets lost in the mall and they're like, "I need to use the intercom," and he's like, "See you later, you little shits." Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's a meme. And also alongside this, like so this is happening, and then on the side of this page, like there's like a bunch of panels of sequential panels of Paddywhack in the sewer getting closer and closer and closer. So Negaduck's raging out because he apparently lost something very important to him, and they never really get around to explaining what. So this kind of created like a bit of controversy because Ian Brill was trying to add layers to Negaduck, like an onion or an ogre.
Our one-layered Negaduck. We just like our garlic clove Negaduck.
Yeah, so he I don't even know what I just assumed that like the implication was that somehow in order to have the trans-dimensional train, for some reason he lost either access to the Negaverse or access to Nega Goslin, something like that. Like, it's never explained or expanded upon for some reason. And then
he dropped his favorite knife.
It's very possible. Maybe he lost his chainsaw, Betsy. Betsy's she's gone. So I remember when I was reading this, I was just like, what? Because you know me, like, of all the characters, the one I'm the most pickiest and critical of is Negaduck characterization. And since this is a supposedly canon official comic, I was like, excuse me? So, like, the magic dissipated right around this point for me. Like, I know you're saying, like, all this stuff, now that you talk about it in hindsight, how ridiculous the comics, like, the plot is, but...
So, this is the part of the comic where you were reading it and it turned into that scene from Toy Story where Andy is holding Woody and he's like, "I don't want to play with you anymore," and he drops him on the ground.
No, that's Paddywhack. Okay, we're almost done. But we're just going to leave that at that because it doesn't even really get addressed ever at any point in the rest of the
Really? Okay, cool. Great.
I think they were
fantastic. Really tight.
I think
storytelling.
I think they had a plan, like Ian Brill had mentioned, because I interviewed Ian Brill for my website, and he had mentioned that he had wanted to do a Negaverse story and like a Negaduck centric story that looked into a bunch of stuff, and it didn't happen because like the comics were eventually, spoiler alert, the comics got canceled. So I think these are like loose ends that just didn't get tied up. But like it was like one of those things where now like people point to this as like proof that like Negaduck as a character is like more meaningful and deeper than he seems. And I was just, yeah.
Put our fingers in our ears and carry on.
Anyways, it's at this moment that Paddywhack crashes through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and says, "Are we having fun yet?" And everybody is just like staring like, what the hell?
Says, yes.
And to be fair, their reaction would be my reaction too, because it's like, why are you here? And then
why are you here and why do you smell like sewers? Launchpad bursts in. He's like, I don't know why, but I want pizza.
And also because Paddywhack came in, I guess, from underwater, he brings a bunch of water in with him because he smashed through the wall, and I guess they're underwater, like the subway.
He's a waterbender now.
Yeah. So the place is filling up with water, and Darkwing tries to grab Negaduck and says, "We need to get out of here. Come with me." And Negaduck swipes at him and says, "Go away forever." And then Paddywhack grabs Negaduck and says, "Don't be afraid. There is so much fear in you." And once again, this is like, you know, like there's something deeper going on with Negaduck. Like he's afraid.
Paddywhack is a little Yoda right now.
And
sensing much fear.
Yeah, and then Darkwing's like, "Negaduck, that's Paddywhack. Even you can't handle him." But before he can do anything, Duck yoinks everybody. Werewolf, Darkwing, Quiverwing, not Magica. Oh, wait, yeah, actually Magica is being dangled by the leg. It's just that she's behind the sound effect. There's like a giant sound effect that says Shazoom, but it's covering up most of Magica, so I feel like I don't know, they should have reconsidered that. But, and Morgana. So they're all being carried away from chaos back up to the streets. And then Gosalyn's Gizmo Duck suit just explodes for no reason. I guess she overworked it or something, because like it just literally falls apart. And she says, "So much for the long and storied career of Gizmo Duck."
Mm-hmm.
And then Launchpad shows up and he says, "Good news, everybody," in like Professor Farnsworth voice.
Good news, everyone.
And he says, "The other Darkwings are now all, well, good." And then Magica is like in the corner spitting out water, and Launchpad's like, "What is she doing here?" And Magica's like, "I am getting very tired of your stupid city and its stupid people, but now that I finally found Scrooge's pilot, I can." And then they're like about to like fight with her, and then there's like an earthquake and everything starts rumbling. And from the ground, the earth splits in two, and from it arises Nega Paddywhack, and it is a giant Godzilla-sized Negaduck, but he has Paddywhack's eyes and face and mouth, and it's really horrifying. And I guess Paddywhack possessed Negaduck, kind of like Mr. Banana Brain.
Okay. All right.
But at this point, I feel like this plot took a really hard left turn, because it's like, why did it go in this direction? Like, there was already so much happening, like, but we're going to bring in Paddywhack. So Paddywhack, giant Nega Paddywhack, tries to crush them with his foot. And then we get which is another favorite panel that I like to use out of context. And it's Darkwing saying, "Why is this all happening?" And then it's a panel that has a shot of Negaduck as Negapaddywhack, and the little like Darkwing narrative over top says, "Why is Negaduck even in my life?" And I will say that's a mood. That's a mood, and I have on occasion taken that entire panel and just like pasted it into places when I want to make fun of myself because, yeah, why is Negaduck even in my life?
Why is Negaduck even in my life?
And then Darkwing gets an idea, and we know this because he gets a little light bulb in his thought bubble. And
is it light bulb Darkwing? Is it another Darkwing?
It should have been, but it's not.
It should have been. Shucks.
And then Darkwing takes off with Launchpad and Goslin, and he says, "Morgana and Magica, you have to buy us some time."
Because they both have magic.
Yeah, and
Not
I guess...
because they're drained.
And I guess Darkwing says they're going to the prison, the Quackworks prison. So Morgana and Magica are zapping the giant Negaduck, and Magica says, "I'm not doing this because I like you. I'm doing this because I hate him." And Morgana says, "Fine by me."
Well, aren't there like a million Darkwings just standing around now?
They're just suddenly not there.
Oh.
There's like, they're just like absent. To be fair, if like a giant Negaduck Paddywhack appeared in the street, I probably would have run
but
for it.
But you aren't a Darkwing.
That's true.
Mm.
So
okay,
then we get this stupid line that I hate, and it's Magica is zapping the Negaduck Paddywhack, and she says, "It's official. You are the worst partner a girl could have," which I don't understand because it kind of implies that, like, I don't know, like there was more happening here, but like also like just the general implication that because he's a guy and she's a girl and they teamed up, they like he purposely worded that to make it sound like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I can't really imagine Magica referring to herself as a girl.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know.
It seems very humble.
She is a woman, okay? She's
a woman.
She's a strong, independent duck woman, and she don't need no man and no Negaduck.
She's every woman. See, this is how Magica got her groove back.
And then Negaduck, as Paddywhack says, he's talking to himself. So it's like Paddywhack, but he's talking as if he's talking to Negaduck. And he says, "I see how this one makes you feel, Negsy. Let's get those feelings out." And then he tries to squish Magica. Like his foot comes down and he crushes her and he splats her. And then Magica turns into a bee and flies away and says, "Buzz off.
Okay.
This city can fend for itself," and we never hear from her again.
Okie dokie. Sure would be nice to have a whole bunch of Darkwings around right now.
Yeah, I don't even understand what they meant by that, because like they're like, "I see how this one makes you feel. Let's get those feelings out." And then he tries to squish her. So like, were the feelings that he hates her, so he's trying to crush her to death? Or were they implying that like he secretly had feelings for her and now he has to like...
He had a crush on her?
I don't know. I hate it. Ugh. Okay, moving on. We're almost done. I know
You're good. Keep going.
I know I said that an hour ago, but we're almost done. Okay, so Darkwing has shown up to the prison to see Megavolt, and he wants the Tron splitter that Megavolt built. And it's literally just chilling in this prison cell with Megavolt. And
okay.
And then we see a shot of Darkwing leaving with it with Launchpad and Goslin. He says, "When this is over, we really need to write a sternly worded memo about the security in this place." So at least he's kind of acknowledging it. But we also see a shot of Quackerjack in his bed, and it's a doll of Quackerjack that is clearly like put there to like disguise that like he's escaped, hinting at something to come in a later thing. Okay. So now Morgana is trying to fend off Negapaddywhack, and she's about to get crushed to death. And then finally, and I know you'll be happy to hear this, she turns around and all the Darkwings, the infinite Darkwings, have appeared, and they're all like fighting him.
Finally.
So I don't know where they were, but now they have all shown up just when she was
They're all just like standing back being like, she's got this. She's probably got this, right? She's got... Oh, well,
and
she's
then
gonna get all the credit. We gotta get in there. We gotta get in there. Come on.
yeah, she's like, oh, dark. And then she says, make that darks. And then you see like a bunch of them, and there's a Rorschach Darkwing, you know, from like
Watchmen.
yeah, and I feel like that's a kind of weird dark implication, but okay. And then there's like I don't know, there's a Roger Rabbit Darkwing, and then you see some of the other ones that I've mentioned. And so they're all fighting. They're all flying around the giant Negaduck, and there's an Iron Man one, and I don't even know. Oh, it's a two-headed one. And okay, so they're all saying like a bunch of different like I am the terror stuff. And there's like a Popeye one that says, I am the can of spinach you cannot open. And then there's, again, this is, you know, a remnant of its time. It's a Lady Gaga Darkwing. And she / he, I don't know. I am the romance that always ends bad.
Also, I feel like the Popeye Darkwing could have just said, I am what I am, because that's what I am.
That would require probably the writers to really have reference to what they're talking about. I don't think they know. There's also a Where's Waldo Darkwing.
There we go.
So, we get to the near end. Darkwing, Vanilla Darkwing, and Launchpad and Goslin are in the Thunderquack, and they've shown up, and they have the Tronsplitter, and they hit Negapaddywhack Duck with the Tronsplitter, and he splits in half. So Paddywhack is separated from Negaduck, but then there's two Negaducks, and Darkwing Duck Bowling Ball is standing off to the side, and he goes, okay, as they're all just staring at these two Negaducks. And one of them looks more deranged.
Darkwing Bowling Ball voicing exactly how I feel. So, is he still giant, or he's small?
He's a regular sized Negaduck, and there's two of them, and one of them has like red eyes and like really sharp, like crazy fangs. And he says,
that's the nice one.
He says, I can't believe the city is still standing. I should have ripped it to shreds 10 times over, for I am worse than Negaduck. I am Negativer Duck. And then the other one says, I agree, this place should be flattened, but maybe not shredded 10 times over, maybe only 7, I think, for I am slightly less Negaduck. And then everyone's just kind of staring, and Launchpad says, the power of the Tronsplitter. And then Darkwing says, you know what they say, a Negaduck divided cannot stand. And then all of a sudden, Negaduck gets zapped again with the Tronsplitter, and again, and again. And much like grade 10 biology, where you're like learning about mitosis and meiosis, he just continuously separates into thousands of infinite Negaducks, but this time they all shrink in size. I guess every time he's shot with the Tronsplitter, he becomes smaller. All the little Negaducks grow smaller and smaller and smaller, and then he dissipates. Literally, it just shows like a bunch of like thousands of Negaducks, and then all of a sudden it's like, what's that term? You know, a leaf in the wind. Or we're all just dust in the wind. What is it?
Dust in the wind.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So he basically got Tronsplit like infinite times.
Into oblivion.
Yeah, like and turned into tiny particles, and they just fly away into the wind. And there's a whole bunch of Darkwings. standing there, and they all...
Just like Mike TV and Willy Wonka floating through the air.
Yes. And all the Darkwings have question marks over their head, which I think everybody at this point...
I mean, same. Yeah, I also have several.
And one of them is an Avatar Darkwing, like, you know, the blue alien people from the movie Avatar.
Hmm?
What do you call... Oh, the Navis? Is that what they're called? Navis?
I have never seen it, despite what James Cameron thinks I should see.
Yes, and there's also a Charlie Chaplin Darkwing Duck. And so Darkwing's like, well, who's playing with the Tron Splitter? And they look over and Paddywhack has it. And he's just like laughing and he's like, ha ha ha, my greatest prank ever. Little particles of good and evil flying through the air. Whenever people are a little too mad or a little too peppy, look for them. And then he's about to shoot everybody else with the Tron Splitter. And then, so he's about to shoot everybody. And then Goslin hops up and she says, don't forget what just one Darkwing Duck did to you. Think what you're in for now. And then all the infinite Darkwings. And this is, you were talking about this earlier where you like saw like a panel that you remember from the comic where all the infinite Darkwings are like standing there and they have hearts over their heads. And there's a Sailor Moon Darkwing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, Goslin! And like they see her and like all these hearts start popping up. And then Quiverwing Duck has the light bulb idea. And he tells Morgana to use the source absorber that he stole from Magica to amplify the power of love, I guess, that the Darkwings all have at the sight of Goslin. And they shoot Paddywhack with the energy
with
of...
the Care Bear stare.
Quite literally, just that. Like, they just zap him with the power of love. And he goes, no fair! And he gets sucked back into his Jack-in-the-Box. And then Darkwing says... And so, Hazard is once again halted by the heroism of Darkwing Duck. And then in smaller font, he says, and friends, of course. Which, to be fair, he would probably do that.
I feel like that was a perfect opportunity for him to say Darkwing Duck.
But no. And then all the Darkwings are hugging Goslin. And there's a Spock Darkwing with, like, the Spock ears. And I feel like any manner of ears on Darkwing is...
Oh, yeah, no. No, thank you.
So
is there like a line? She's like standing and they're hugging her and then they're getting back at the end of the line again. And
yes, I guess so. So now all the Darkwings are packing back up into the train and they're saying goodbye. And they're saying thank you to Goslin. And they say, okay, now that everything in this dimension has been made right, it's time we all made our way home. Homes, that is. And then he says, who knew Bowling Ball Darkwing was an expert at reverse engineering?
I did.
Of course you did. And then Quiverwing hugs Goslin and he says, be good, Goslin, be brilliant. And then they all wave goodbye and they all vanish into the subway, into their dimensions, I guess. And then...
yeah, okay.
And then we have... Darkwing's like, and that's the end of that. And Launchpad's like, I don't know about that. And then they turn around and conveniently there's a TV behind them for some reason. And it's like a news reporter saying that with the latest polls showing 98% of St. Canard citizens distrust Darkwing Duck, 2% do claim to trust him and say, he's the guy who swims in the money, right? And then Darkwing faints, and it says, the end? Yeah, right.
Dun 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 dun.
And that is the end of Crisis on Infinite Darkwings. And the end of my sanity.
I had infinite crises during that retelling.
We've gone from what was originally supposed to be the entire Boom series covered in like 1 or 2 episodes to just the arcs themselves having to be separated into several episodes because there's just a lot to talk about. And yeah, that is wrapping up the second arc, Crisis on Infinite Darkwings. There are 2 more main arcs, and then the crossover, and then the annual issues. So there's still a bit to cover, but I will say, depending on which, like, some of the arcs move a bit faster because there's more action scenes, so I could skip over them and, like, talk about it a bit faster. This one was really talky, and it just had so much stuff, like, happening in, like, each scene that, like, in order for it to make sense, I had to describe it. Otherwise, it's just, I don't know, like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, you'd be very confused if I didn't explain that to you step by step, because there's just so much going on. So this arc, I think, is going to be longer compared to the next arc.
Well,
I think
you know what, Ange? You don't even know what I've sacrificed, what I lost to get through this. I'll never mention it again.
So I say we're like what? We're like 2/5 of the way through this series. Give me your thoughts, Kitty. Give me, lay it on me. What are your thoughts?
Right, I'm just gonna hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna. Oh, it's fine. It's good. It's fine.
Did you just scream into your pillow?
Yeah, a little bit. No, I mean, it's fine. It's all good. It seems perfect. There's a lot of choices being made. I can't fault them for trying to do their own thing. They're definitely trying to do their own thing and make it their own, in various levels of success. Like, I feel like if they had stuck with one story for this, it would have been better.
And that was...
Forget the paddywhack thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I was going to say my big thing, and I can't remember if I wrote this in my original review, but I think the paddywhack stuff was completely unnecessary, and I don't even know why they put that in there. I don't know if it was because they just wanted to be like, we need to cram in as many, like, references from the show and, like, fan favorites as possible or something, but it just... I think they just needed to focus on Negaduck and Magica, and they could have better explored, like, the infinite Darkwings and what that meant for Darkwing himself, and also, like, maybe, like, the Quiverwing and Dark Warrior Duck comparison. Like, they could have explored all of that, and then they could have just, I don't know, defeated Magica and Negaduck the regular way that, I mean...
And for, like, as much as, you know, it was like, oh, Quiverwing, you should go tell Darkwing to be careful because he's about to go lose his like, he didn't say anything to anybody except for Goslin. He's like, hey, be awesome, bye.
Oh, that's true. He didn't even warn Darkwing about that. Huh.
Some hero.
Yeah, it's it was a little too jam-packed, and didn't need the Negaduck layering onions. And
no. And, you know, it's like, you have Magica, who's a strong villain. You have Negaduck, who's a strong villain. And I don't feel like either of them really got their due. Like...
They basically just stood around and let the infinite Darkwings do all the work, and then they just had, like, a fight scene at the end, and...
Like, what was stopping Negaduck from dressing up as a Darkwing himself and having some fun in there? Nothing.
I think this arc could have been shortened much more if they had gone to the trash planet where there's a trash compactor, and they just dumped all the Darkwings into the trash compactor, and then Negaduck could have, I don't know, just dressed up as a Darkwing, and that probably would have had the same effect because St. Canard people are apparently the stupidest people on the planet. He could have just, like, made, like, cardboard cutouts of Darkwing, and that probably would have worked. Like, it was a lot of effort for them that they didn't need to do. And Magica...
Yeah, they just built an interdimensional railroad to go pick up other Darkwings to drop them off in the one St. Canard that Negaduck wanted to destroy, and Magica really wanted a dime.
Like, Negaduck could have sent them to the trash compactor planet or dimension, and then he could have quite literally taken over every single... Or he probably... If he can create a train that can send them across dimensions, he probably could have linked dimensions so that he could rule over like one like multiverse dimension type thing. And since he got rid of all the Darkwings, he'd literally have what he wants, which is ruling the multiverse. But I guess
and 0 Darkwings, yeah. I mean,
but I guess their explanation is basically like he wanted to ruin Darkwing in the process and toy with him by ruining his reputation. But I feel like this is like the default reputation for Darkwing anyways. Everybody like hates him already most of the time. So, or they don't know who he is. So, and I don't think Negaduck would be okay with Darkwing being public enemy number 1 through 5 either.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. The man had a conniption when he was number 2.
Exactly. So there was a lot of, I think there's potential here. Like they had a lot of like cool stuff that they introduced. I really like Quiverwing Duck. I think he's a really neat version, and I'm glad like we at least got like, because he's probably the one that like of all the Infinite Darkwings, he's the one that probably actually gets fan art and like fan fiction and stuff like that, because he's more prominent and is more interesting.
Well, he's the only one that you really get to know anything about.
Yeah, and he's just, you know, and he's not really silly. He originates too, because like the other ones are all parodies of like actual pre-existing like franchises, but he is literally a parody of like Darkwing Duck universe stuff, like Quiverwing Quack. So he's more unique, and yeah, I don't know. I like him a lot. Other than that, like, yeah, there was a lot that could be done here. I will tell you that when this got rewritten in the Definitively Dangerous edition, they did clean up some of the, like, they cleaned up a lot of the dialogue, and I can't remember if they changed the motivations for Negaduck and Magica or if they altered them a bit. We'll discuss the Definitively Dangerous edition at some point where we'll talk about like some of the differences.
Does Darkwing still wonder why Negaduck is in his life?
I actually can't remember if that's still. I hope it is, because that actually.
I hope so too.
Like,
just leave it.
It's a stupid line. Like it doesn't make sense. Like for the humor of the show, but I just like it because why is Negaduck in our lives?
Why is Negaduck in our lives?
Why is Negaduck?
Why is Negaduck? Tune in next time, guys, where we discuss why is Negaduck. Yeah, rating. You know, on a scale of from 1 to infinity, I would have to say bowling ball.
And I'd have to say that even the Negaduck factor didn't really, bump up the score a whole lot. I do like that I got a lot of Negaduck pictures out of it, because at this point in time, remember, we hadn't gotten any new, like, other than like recolored like stock images of like Darkwing Duck leaning over, like baring his teeth. You hadn't seen anything new for any of these characters. So seeing like Negaduck again and Morgana and all that, and like having like, pictures of them again that like you could refer back to and just like enjoy the art. I was happy for that, and I thought Negaduck.
These crumbs of serotonin.
Yes, and I thought Negaduck was drawn pretty well. Magica looked okay, but I feel like Magica in general, her character design, like even in the cartoon, like I don't know. I could never take her seriously.
She looks like she needs a nap.
She does. She looks like me after summarizing this entire arc. So there we have it, everybody.
There we have it.
This is Crisis on Infinite Darkwings, and our next and hopefully much shorter issues that we will be covering is Foul Disposition is the next arc. And let me tell you, friends, it doesn't get any better. It just goes downhill from here, in my opinion.
Oh, good. Good. But until we go down that stinky, stinky path, remember, friends, that crime doesn't sleep, and neither do we.
Especially after all of this. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.